Welcome to the Shulamite Podcast, an extension of Shulamite Ministries and Shulamite.com, with weekly interviews and teaching with author and speaker Martha Kilpatrick and hosted by John Enslow. This weekly podcast is a way to stay connected to the ministry. So come experience anointed messages, not giving just another method, but a living impartation. But we were both that sick. We were literally, it felt like we had eaten something weird.
We knew something was strange. Something was going on that was very strange. We knew it wasn't the food. The food was exquisite and totally fresh. Everything was fresh. We knew it wasn't the food. It was something else. And we were just miserably sick. If I remember right, the next morning you got up and said, "I've got it. I know what happened."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the next morning I woke up and I knew what it was. The Lord said, "It's your fault." And I went, "What do you mean it's my fault?" He says, "Your fault." And I proceeded to ask him what he was wanting to show me, because there was something that I needed to see. And it kind of goes to the same, I don't know if we've done a podcast about this or a blog about this. I don't remember what it was that we did it, but we talked about a church that we went into where the wife of the pastor shut down the move of the Spirit. And because I was praying against it being shut down, and then the Spirit told me, I have given her the authority. She can send me away or bring me in, depending on the authority that she has. And I was just, that blew my mind. I didn't realize that we had that kind of authority. So what he showed me was that because we were there, and because we have the indwelling life of Christ, we are responsible for everything that goes on around us. That Christ's life has the power to change the atmosphere. And because I didn't take, number one, because I didn't take any authority, I just sat and watched a train wreck. I didn't take authority. We were praying. But we were praying without power, is really what we were doing.
I think we were praying to survive a little bit and praying for them, but we weren't in our position, whatever that is.
Well,
which is authority.
Yeah, and so here we are, and if it was the best case scenario, I literally could have possibly had the authority to stop their night from being ruined. Mm-hmm. And what more, I don't know. Maybe God would have had something beyond that. But I could have stopped their disturbing the restaurant. I was responsible for the waiter, who was very, very, very uncomfortable with their situation. It was horrible. She's spitting wine up and just doing all kinds of stuff, and just obviously, when you knew, she just drunk. And so, but I could have, with the authority I had, I could have changed the atmosphere and bound the spirits that were in place. It was clear that it was codependent. That was obvious. But probably it was Jezebel Ahab all day long, and you have, authority over that, wrote a book about it, and I've gone through much deliverance and dealing with the Jezebel and Ahab spirits, and I have authority. And I didn't take that place of authority. And so, literally, like John Bevere says, if you don't use the authority God gives you, Satan will take that authority away from you and use it against you. And so that's what he did. He literally, I was bludgeoned. I was beaten by these two people, the demonic that was on them. I was beaten and I was abused by the enemy because I wasn't in my place. And so it's a major lesson. And, the physical exclamation point was that we were so sick and that we almost threw up both.
And the issue God showed me is that there is nothing we do, nowhere we go, nothing we experience that is not for the purpose of Christ. and we went there for our break from work. We were strictly there for us, so it didn't occur to us to be in the right place. And he showed me 24/7, everything is for Christ. Every moment, every experience. And we've known that in our travels. Good grief. We've had many occasions in restaurants where we knew that lives were changed. But that was sort of spontaneous, not deliberate.
And we had the nights before, the couple night before time that it was the Spirit, and it was led by Him, and it was directed by Him, and it was in His purpose. Mm-hmm. It was an amazing thing. It was magical.
Yes, it flowed. And so I think I've told this once in a conference, but I sometimes I would say to John when we were traveling along, now, John, everything's about purposes. Everything's purposes. This is the purpose we're after, and we've got to find the purpose because it's all about purposes. And I would be real cute about it, I thought. But really, it is all about purposes. And
you were cute.
Oh, thank you for grace. But it's just blown me away because I see that everything is for the purpose of Christ. Whatever purpose He has in a situation, we are. And there have been times I've failed that I knew this lesson before. I was on a MARTA train in Atlanta with a young woman with a bike, and she was being very verbally abused by some young men, and I prayed, but I should have taken authority, and I probably should have gone and stood with her until she got off and just made my presence known, even though I'm another woman. But there are other occasions, but I want to learn this occasion. We are to take the authority of Christ over all the power of the enemy wherever we go, 24/7. Everything is for Him. There's nothing for me, first of all. And that means that He will take care of us and our needs, wants, even our desires inside His purpose. Our needs and wants will be protected. It's not like you give up a whole lot and let Jesus have everything. It's not like that. You take care of Him and His need, and He will take care of you. It's a priest's ministry to Christ. Even if you're in a restaurant, even if you're walking down the street, even if you're in the car, and He says, bless that person that's going by. It's all for Him. And it's had an impact on a lot of us. And I started going through the scriptures on the word purpose. And I am just astonished. I know one of them is Paul's account of the road to Damascus into Acts. I don't think it was his first mention of it, but what he said was, God said to him, I've called you for this purpose. And it's to open the eyes of the blind and to go to the Gentiles. And, of course, that purpose unfolded into the making of the New Testament. So everyone is called for a purpose that has to do with God's agenda and God's plan. And one of the verses that I think we really don't get, even though we quote it all the time, is, all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to His purpose. Well, the NIV reads it this way. God causes everything to work together for good to those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. And I'm going to make an interpretation of that called according to His purpose. I think what it means is if you live inside His purpose as your purpose, then God has complete control to cause everything that happens. See, this is worked out to our good because we do love Him and we are operating in what we understand to be His purpose. So it's all absolute riches that are coming out of it, that we won't make that mistake for His sake again.
And this is not to say that if it had been according to His purpose, that it would have prevented my inconvenience or my being uncomfortable, or
right.
That's not what this is about. I'm not saying that I go in
perfect.
Yeah, I go in and I make sure everything's. This was an obvious tragedy, and the purpose may have been just to intercede for their souls.
Yes.
But I just wanted to say that because I didn't want to think that, when you walk in, because you have Christ living in you, then everything is gloriously beautiful and wonderful.
Good point. But see, Satan had that couple and was in a complete chaotic confusion and swirl that was affecting everybody. And it did affect us because we were not under the umbrella of his purpose. We were there in his will, but we were not there for his agenda. We were there for our agenda.
That's right.
Thank you for joining us for this issue of the Shulamite Podcast. For more from Shulamite Ministries, or to contact us, please visit us at shulamite.com, where you can partake of many resources such as the Shulamite e-zine, our monthly internet magazine, or Manna in the Morning, Martha's daily devotional, plus many more books, articles, and audio teachings. Again, thank you for listening, and see you on the web.